All right, good evening and welcome to Ohio Wesleyan's own Bishop Plus virtual information session series. My name is Lori Patton and I am the Director of Admission here at Ohio Wesleyan, which by the way, we call ourselves OWU. So if you hear myself or the panelists say that, you'll understand we're referring to Ohio Wesleyan. In addition to being the Director of Admission, I'm actually also a graduate of Ohio Wesleyan, graduated in the class of 1995 and have been working in the admission office at OWU pretty much since graduation. And fun fact, I'm also the parent of two now Ohio Wesleyan students. My daughter just finished her sophomore year at OWU, and my son, who is a high school senior, like some of you on the webinar, will be a freshman at OWU this coming fall. So it's been fun to have a different perspective from the parent side of things the last couple of years. I'll be the moderator for tonight's session, which we are calling Creative Interpretations, the Arts at OWU. As you know, several weeks ago, when we learned that Ohio's stay-at-home order was in place, we had to quickly change focus, as most everyone did, and rethink how we would do our jobs, and specifically how we would present Ohio Wesleyan to our constituents, to prospective students, their parents and family members, even to school counselors and independent counselors. And I'm really pleased that we were able to put together this series of information sessions that we're calling the Bishop Plus series. Throughout the month of April, we offered 12 different sessions on various topics. Students also had an opportunity to sit in on some virtual live classes offered by faculty in a variety of disciplines. And we engaged with students in a variety of other ways through virtual campus tours and through Skype and FaceTime calls during general information sessions, and even through a new podcast series that we developed. Because of the success of those events, we decided to continue these kinds of offerings through the month of May. Even though the semester is over and our live classes are finished, we have several faculty who are offering mock classes throughout the month of May. Actually, on every Tuesday, we have what we call Teaching Tuesdays. And students can sign up to attend a mock class and get a flavor of what the teaching environment is like at Ohio Wesleyan. And then on each Wednesday and Thursday in the month of May, we will continue the Bishop Plus information series on various topics. So tonight's session, as the name suggests, is all about the arts programs at OWU. I'm fortunate to have 4 panelists joining me tonight. You'll see their names, pictures, and their contact information on the slide that you're viewing. And so that I don't steal all of their thunder, I'll invite each of them now to introduce themselves. I'll ask them to tell you who they are, how long they've been at Ohio Wesleyan, what their role is on campus, what courses they teach, if any, and then spend a couple of minutes, maybe 3 to 4 minutes, talking about a sort of a broad overview of their department. Once we go through each of the panelists, then we'll be able to take questions from the audience. And I'll remind audience members that there is a Q&A feature built into this webinar. Probably at the bottom of your screen, you'll see that Q&A, and you are welcome to, at any point in time throughout the course of this webinar, to submit questions, and we'll be sure to try to get to those during our time together. We did have some that were submitted ahead of time, so we'll get to those as well. So without further ado, I'll ask Professor Bogdanov if you could start start us off tonight.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Christina Bogdanov, and it's a pleasure to be part of this panel and to present and share some information about our fine arts programs. And originally, I come from former Yugoslavia. I got my BFA, Bachelor of Fine Arts degree from Belgrade Academia of Applied Arts. And then I hold MFA, Masters in Fine Arts for Ceramics and Drawing from University of Kentucky. I came to Ohio Wesleyan to teach in 2007. So I'm very excited to say that I am a tenured member here. And although it is more than, it's 13 years, so more than, you know, a decade, it is still very exciting to be part of this OWU family and to work here. What classes do I teach in fine arts? I teach all levels of ceramics. Ceramics is my primary field of specialty. And my focus and my research, my focus in my work and my research are sort of interdisciplinary. So I work with a technique that is called photolithography image transfer, which is basically transferring photographs to clay. I'm bringing this to your attention because it sort of launched as a collaboration with a student many years ago. And so this is something that is unique about OWU, that certain things happen here directly in working with, you know, student professors. So collaborations are something that are the feature and uniqueness of our school. I also teach drawing classes. I teach figure drawing and three-dimensional design, which is a foundation course. I would reflect about our program. I would say that it's truly a robust program. We offer 4 degrees. We have a Bachelor of Arts in Studio, Bachelor of Arts in Art History, and then we have more specialized degrees such as Bachelor of Fine Arts, which is focused in studio, and then we have Bachelor of Fine Arts with Education, which is sort of an interdisciplinary combined degree where students go through the process of, upon graduation, they can obtain licenses and they can teach K through 12. I would also like to say that Ohio Wesleyan has a long tradition in really appreciating and investing in arts, especially the fine arts. We have really strong facilities in terms of everyone's area. Aside from ceramics and drawing classes that I mentioned that I teach, we also have painting, photography, graphic design, computer imaging, printmaking, jewelry, metals, and sculpture. Those are all independent medias that are very much in depth featured in our program. And we also are proud to say that we have 2 buildings. So one building is dedicated and features art that is, we call it 2-dimensional, right? It's not a 2-dimensional building, but it just features the studios that are focused on 2-dimensional arts. And then we have a separate building that is the place for 3-dimensional arts.
Great. Thank you, Professor Bogdanov. Professor Edwards, would you like to go next? You're on mute, Professor Edwards.
There we go. Okay. Hey. Hi, folks. My name is Rich Edwards, and I'm an associate professor of music education at Ohio Wesleyan. I've been coordinating the music education program here for 11 years. And in the last year, I also took over conducting the Symphonic Wind Ensemble. I'm here to talk about the music department, but a little bit more about what I teach and do. I coordinate a lot of the music education majors. Professor Bogdanov mentioned the BFA in education for arts teachers. We have a lot of music education majors who are preparing to be band directors and choir directors or elementary general music teachers in K-12 schools. And I'm involved in a lot of that work. But I also specialize in conducting, particularly in the wind ensemble. And I'm happy to have Mary Kate participating with us when she can as a fellow band director here on campus. She'll tell you more about her adventures in a few minutes. But I don't want to talk just about the wind ensemble. I want to make sure that everyone is aware that we have a lot of activities and courses and majors in the music department for all types of music interests at OWU. If you are interested in majoring in music, we have a Bachelor of Arts in Music which pairs very well and is often a double major with many other majors on our campus. It takes a very organized student to be a double major in anything, but it is a very popular choice for the students in our department. We also have several different Bachelor of Music degree programs in performance, in composition, and in music education. And those degree programs are more professionally minded towards a performing career, a composing career, or a teaching career. But you don't have to be a music major to participate in our courses or our ensembles. We have the wind ensemble, the jazz band, the choral arts society, which is basically the name for our choir. We also have a smaller chamber chorale, and all of these vocal, as well as our chamber orchestra. So whether you play a stringed instrument, a wind instrument, percussion, whether you like jazz or classical, whether you want to sing or play an instrument, we have a lot of great activities and options for you. Chamber music is also a big interest for our students, and those types of smaller ensembles are usually coordinated by studio professors with their students, or sometimes even ad hoc with students just looking for friends to play quartets and duets and other trios with. Our composition studio is actually quite robust, and we are often pulling students from across campus to premiere world premieres of the works that our composition studio students are writing. I also, when I'm not conducting ensembles or teaching music education courses, I also teach several gen ed courses such as music appreciation and history of rock. In the past, I've also taught a neuroscience of music course, which highlights much of the work I was doing during my dissertation. In fact, I will be one of those Teaching Tuesday mock lessons later this month, doing a neuroscience of music presentation. But the important thing to know, I think, in the short take is we have a lot of different opportunities and activities for whatever your music interests are and whatever your musical experience is. It is typical to have some kind of a seating audition to see which part you would be best placed on if you're in the band or the choir or the orchestra. But we also have a lot of opportunities for students who are just getting started. We have methods courses for all the instruments in the band. We have lessons that are taken in our studio professors by both music majors and non-majors. We also have a lot of great activities that are not directly under the music department, but there are a lot of other exciting music events and activities such as our a cappella groups or gospel chorus. So we are a very active artistic and musical campus, and Sanborn is proud to be a home to many of those activities.
Great, thank you. Mary Kate, you're up next.
Everyone. First of all, thank you so much for being with us here. I know if you're anything like the rest of us, you get a little zoomed out. So thank you for taking of your time to be here with us today and learn a little bit about arts at Ohio Wesleyan. I am as you can see on the presentation screen when it was up there earlier, I'm the director of athletic bands. So if you've been on our website, it's really easy, by the way, it's owu.edu/marching band, very simple. But if you have done any research on our website or done any reading about the program, it's actually relatively new. So I was hired in 2017. I spent a year just immersing myself in the culture at Ohio Wesleyan, getting to know the campus, getting to know our athletic teams, our coaches, our wonderful professors in the music department who Dr. Edwards and so many others are some of my closest colleagues on campus now today. But I got a whole year to just be here on campus and plan and get to know this community before we started a new marching band in 2018. It was our first time having a marching band on the campus since the early 60s. The freshman students who were in that group that founding year are going to be juniors next year, which is wild to me. We actually, this past Saturday, we graduated our first 3 marching band alumni. We had 3 seniors in the color guard this year, but the program is still relatively new. We also have a basketball band that plays during the winter season. Those ensembles and actually all of our ensembles at Ohio Wesleyan are kind of a la carte and pick and choose as you prefer. So I have some students who love athletic bands. It's the thing that they loved the most about their high school experience. So they do it all with me. They do marching band in the fall and they do basketball band in the winter season. We have some students who really loved marching band, but they also really loved wind ensemble, and they will march with me in the fall and play in wind ensemble in the spring, or they will even play in wind ensemble all year round while they march. I think we actually had 14 students last year that did that overlap. It was a pretty significant overlap. Things I'd like to share about the groups, I guess, that are exciting upcoming. First is that the marching band, for the first time since I started it 2 years ago, is going to be a accredited course this fall. So students will earn a quarter credit for participating in the ensemble. We have a really fantastic student leadership team, all of which are available. If you are interested, please reach out to me. If you are interested in talking to one of our student leaders, any of them would be happy to chat with you and answer your questions about student life. But I think the thing I love most about our program, my program, the marching band, is that 80% of the students that participate in the marching band are not studying music as a major. I love our music majors. I'm thankful for them. They make up a good part of our student leadership team, as a matter of fact. But my drum major and my student assistant director for next fall are majoring in things other than music. And some of our most fantastic success stories from the marching band are students who are not majoring in music. And I think Dr. Edwards would agree that all of our ensembles at Ohio Wesleyan thrive and succeed and excel because of the non-major participation that we have on our campus. So know that even if you are not wanting to study music as a major, making music in college and making music for the rest of your life is absolutely an option for you. And we have a diverse range of offerings at Ohio Wesleyan. That does include marching band and basketball band.
Great, thanks, Mary Kate. And last but certainly not least, Professor Sadler.
Thank you very much, Lori. Hello, everyone. My name is Bradford Sandler, and I'm here today to talk to you about the Department of Theater and Dance. First, a little bit about me. Like Lori, I actually am an Ohio Wesleyan alum myself. I'm class of 2005. I've been back at Ohio Wesleyan teaching since 2014. Some of the courses that I teach are Intro to Theater, Theater 101, Beginning Acting, that's my special area of expertise, and what I have my MFA in is acting. I also teach American drama and theater. Sometimes I've taught Western drama to the year 1700. I teach modern drama, and I also, for the third time coming up in the fall, will be a teacher for UC 160, the freshman introductory class to our community here at Ohio Wesleyan. So I'm going to talk to you just a little bit about my department, which, as you heard me say, is theater and dance. So I actually kind of have two separate sort of deals to talk to you about to try to squeeze in. To talk to you first about the department as a whole, we're a very active department. I would say on a regular basis, numbers fluctuate, of course, from year to year, but I would say we have between 50 and 60 majors and minors. That's a fair estimate of majors and minors as a group. But I think it's important, in going along with what everyone else has said about involvement in the arts at Ohio Wesleyan, you do not have to be a declared major or minor to get involved in the arts at Ohio Wesleyan. In fact, a lot of responsibility is oftentimes given to students in our production season that maybe have not declared a major or minor yet. Obviously, hopefully we will, we hope they will at some point, but you don't have to have something declared, a major or minor, to be a part of productions or to be a part of the goings on in the Department of Theater and Dance. We have faculty members that teach a wide variety of theatrical disciplines, from performing to technical design and all the various sort of design elements that contains, like set design, lighting design, stage management, playwriting. We also very importantly have, similar to what Professor Bogdanov said, an avenue for licensure in teaching when it comes to theater as well. Okay, so we have a faculty member who teaches that, and we also have, as I'll discuss a little bit later on, dance happening very actively at Ohio Wesleyan as well. So we have courses taught in all of those different disciplines. Like I said, participating in productions is open to everyone. You don't have to audition to get into our program. for those of you that have done theatrical productions in the past, it'll make sense to you that for every production, you do have to audition to be in productions, right? Something that I want to highlight as well that others have mentioned here is the possibility and prevalence of being a double major here at Ohio Wesleyan. There's lots of thoughtful and creative combinations of majors that you can make. And in fact, I would say most of our majors in the Department of Theater and Dance, historically speaking, and in the present day too, are a double major of one type or another. I know, for example, you might not think they pair well together necessarily, but theater and zoology has been a very common pairing of majors. Theater and psychology major has been a very popular pairing of majors. A very popular one on the dance side of things is dance and HHK, health and human kinetics. So that sort of intersection is very important there. The production season coming up that we'll be adhering to, hopefully, fingers crossed, includes 3 full-scale productions, a play in the fall and a play in the spring, and also a dance concert in the fall as well, around Thanksgiving, okay? There are tours regularly of both of the spaces that we use on campus when people are permitted back on campus again. The main building that theater is located in is called Chapelier Drama Center. It's the academic building that's closest to the residential side of campus, I would say. And you can't miss it if you're walking towards the academic side. There's a big sign that says Chapelier Drama Center. And also, we have another space called Januzzi Dance Studio, which was built very recently, opened in 2015. Okay, so we have a lot of opportunities to become involved with theater productions here at Ohio Wesleyan. And also, we have the opportunity for you to get academic credit for being involved in productions at Ohio Wesleyan. You're able to take your involvement in a production and get either a quarter unit of credit or maybe even a half unit of credit for it as well. And those can really be super beneficial to your overall academic standing at the university, right? So that's an important benefit there as well. In the chat function, you'll be seeing links that I've sent along to provide you information on the theater major, the dance major as well, links to past productions of the Department of Theater and Dance. And also you'll find a link to a Google folder that contains the production at Ohio Wesleyan that happened right before campus had to be shut down because of the pandemic. It's a production that I just so happened to direct. It was called Eurydice by Sarah Rule is the name of the show. And it very importantly features one of the great elements of theater, which is that it enables lots of different collaborations to happen. For example, a dance major helped to choreograph the dance and the movements. That was a part of the performance. One of the music student who's a music major and a theater minor named Noah Green composed original music and played it live for the production as well. So that is just a small example of some of the great collaborations that happen in the world of theater on Ohio Wesleyan, right? So that's a little bit about theater. I am not a dancer first, but I'm going to pass on some thoughts that the leader of our dance program, Rashana Perk-Smith, asked me to pass on to you as well. And her contact information will appear in the chat function for you as well. If you have more questions about dance than I can maybe answer off the top of my head. So these are Rashana's thoughts about the dance program. Our main base of dance technique covers modern and contemporary and fusion dance techniques as a source of regularly practiced movement vocabulary. Also, each year we offer a rotating menu of dance technique classes, such as ballet, jazz, improvisation, social partner dances, and musical theater. Other required dance classes include composition and choreography and dance history. An honors tutorial is offered in the spring, Dance Film, a Calculated Framing of Bodies. This course will count towards the honors program and also a part of the film studies curriculum. Students have the opportunities to perform in the annual dance concert starting their freshman year via auditions each year. So you'll be able to be dancing on campus immediately if that's what you want to do as a freshman. We meet once a week for company class and then additional times for rehearsal. This is Orchesis, which is the dance show that I mentioned in terms of our production season. Students have the opportunity to choreograph for that annual dance concert starting in their sophomore year. Coming up this fall, we're not quite sure yet how physical dance practice will take place in Januzzi Dance Studio, but we will honor all social distancing guidelines, and we'll have more information on that as we get closer to the fall. And she asked me to mention again Januzzi, the main dance facility that we have on campus. It's contained in the Simpson Query Dance Studio. It's a fully sprung wood floor that was constructed in 2015, so it's very contemporary. And it's complete with retractable seating for 85 seats, okay? Student dance clubs are also very active, which the student club is Terpsichore, which is anything and everything that could refer to itself as dance. And then there's also OWU Rhythms, which is a tap dance club on campus. And she wraps up by saying, if there's any students that are interested in dance, please don't hesitate to get in contact with Rashana at her email address and the phone number that I provided. Her email address is rpsmith@owu.edu. So that's a little bit about the rich and vibrant activity that's happening in both areas of creative expression that are covered in the department that I teach in. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for that very helpful overview of each of your departments and programs. One of the questions that came in that I tend to get a lot, and Professor Sadler, you sort of alluded to this when you mentioned that at least in theater, you don't have to audition to gain entrance into that program or that department or that major. But I wonder if each of you could talk a little bit about whether or not you need to audition or submit a portfolio for entrance into your major and or for scholarship consideration. And I think, Mary Kate, this is applicable to you as well. So maybe we start with Professor Bogdanov.
Yes, that's a great question, and I would like to share that if you are considering OWU for fine arts and basically considering to be a Bachelor of Arts in Studio Arts, which is a very good degree, as what we all mentioned, to combine with some other degrees, so basically double major. You can, as a prospective student, submit a portfolio, which would be then considered for awarding you an art scholarship. But to become, so basically what I'm trying to say is that you would need to submit a portfolio if you're interested to receive an art scholarship. But in terms of just simply entering the program, the BA in Studio Art or BA in Art History, that would kind of be automatic. The Bachelor of Fine Arts degree, however, is more specific because you get to very much in depth start taking studio courses in particular. And so it is truly a degree if you are considering to become a professional artist, graphic designer, but and considering in some future going for the master's in fine arts. So for that degree, you would need to apply in your ideally sophomore year, you as you enter OWU in your freshman year, you would be very much directed, and there's a lot of information that you would gain. Some information you can get even from also our students that have their club, SLAM. We are very active in terms of the happenings. We have Ross Art Museum, which is an amazing feature for our program. A lot of exhibits happen throughout the year, and there are receptions. So those were opportunities to meet professors, meet students in art. We also have a Werner Student Art Gallery, which is completely run by the students. Usually they are art majors. So again, another resource to see some of the work, but also learn about what are these types of degrees and what can you do. But again, BFA degree is more specialized, and for that reason requires for you to apply after your freshman year. So ideally once you're a sophomore. And we review BFA candidates every semester, every academic year. That would be the same for the BFA major interested to teach K through 12. They also have to be accepted around their sophomore year. Again, what I wanted to reference is that there are a lot of opportunities, and certainly I would encourage everyone to email me if interested more about the deadlines, related to perhaps applying for the art scholarship. I would be glad to help more and share more information about that.
Great. Dr. Edwards, what about music?
Yeah, very similar to the art department. We have merit awards for students who are majoring in music. And to qualify for one of those merit awards, you need to audition to become a music major, whether that's going to be a BA or a Bachelor of Music degree. And those auditions are typically set up during the fall and spring semester of the senior year in high school of the prospective candidate coming to Ohio Wesleyan. So you would know by April of your senior year in high school, not only what your academic scholarship packages from OWU are, but you would also know what kind of music merit awards you would have qualified for based on that audition. At this time, though, we do not have any scholarships available for non-majors or minors. That is just for the music majors. I think that was the main thing I was going to say about auditions and our scholarship awards. But there are a lot of, I think it's important to note that those things can stack with your academic awards though too.
Great, thank you. Mary Kate, audition needed for marching band, and are there scholarships for marching band?
Question. At this point, we don't have any scholarships available for the marching band specifically. But this coming year is going to be the first year that I have a paid internship as a part of my leadership structure. So we have a very select number of internships that are selected for what's called our STAP program. And STAP internships are grant-funded internships that have a very competitive application process. And these internships are full-year paid internships that involve 6 hours a week of work. The position this year that is going to be a paid position in my leadership structure is called the Student Assistant Director of Athletic Bands. The person in that role this year is a microbiology major with a minor in music, and her interests are a lot more centered around higher education administration, the admissions process, and recruiting students. And so a lot of what she's going to be doing with me next year is going to be centered around that. She's going to be helping me plan our Marching Bishops Visit Day. She's going to be coordinating a kind of her own team of mini student leaders within the ensemble to accomplish some of the logistical tasks that anybody who's ever been in a marching band is well aware of and familiar with. But I will say too that that this program is very new, and so especially if you are somebody who is a junior or a sophomore on the line, I don't know what might happen in the next couple of years. So if you're not a senior, be sure to keep in touch with me when you're getting closer to your application window, if you're interested in knowing more about the marching band, because things might change in the year or two between now and then. When this group started in 2018, it was a club, and going into fall of 2020, we're going to be accredited class. So things sometimes change quick for the better. Auditions, that's the other thing you wanted me to mention, Lori. We do have an audition, but like Dr. Edwards mentioned about a lot of the ensembles in the music department, our auditions for the marching band are about placement. Those are done on video over the summer. We've got students that live in California, Louisiana, all the way over on the East Coast in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. So doing things in person is a struggle. We've been doing digital auditions since the inception of the band. Those are done in the summer after you have paid your deposit. So You don't have to worry about getting that done before you make your college decision. I'll be in touch with y'all this summer before you come to campus. And again, emphasizing that those auditions are about placement in your section, and also, really, to be honest with you, placement in the section is secondary to me gaining an understanding of the musical ability of the students that are coming in that year, and being able to craft a season that is going to be meaningful and challenging and enjoyable for the students that we have coming in. So we have all ranges of ability level, from students wanting to be music teachers all the way down to some students who kind of are beginners and got started in college with their music experiences. So.
Great, thank you. Professor Sadler, you mentioned that you don't need to audition to get into the theater program, but what about scholarships?
It's very true. So we offer a BA in theater and a BA in dance. If you want to be a theater major, but get on that track to get that education licensure, what you do is be a theater major and an education minor. There are scholarships available if you know you coming in that you want to be a theater major and you want to commit to that from the beginning. There are scholarships available. I think I provided a link that has more info about that scholarship stuff from our Department of Theater and Dance website. So you can look for that and apply for that as well. If you got one of those scholarships, what would primarily be expected of you coming in as a student is that you be regularly involved in productions in a large role that are happening on campus in the Department of Theater and Dance. And as a student who would be coming in knowing that they want to major in theater and dance, that's not, I don't think, an outlandish thing to be thinking about and expecting, right? To be heavily involved from the beginning. So I encourage you to go on to our department website and check out that scholarship information. I think it just appeared there. Yeah, it has more info that will be more exact than anything I could try to say off the top of my head. So it's there.
Perfect. So we have a question from the audience, and I don't know that everybody has to answer this, but maybe if you have a good point to answer, raise your hand and I'll call on you. But the person wants to know, I'm wondering how many music, dance, art classes can you take at once, whether or not you're a major? And Mary Kate has her hand up, so I'm gonna let Mary Kate start. Oh, it looks like everyone has some input.
Yeah, I'll keep it brief so that people can maybe speak specifically to the students that they work with. It depends, and I know that's the least satisfying answer in the entire world, but it depends. The flip side of that is beautiful, is that it depends means that there is a lot of range that you can consider that is viable. It depends could mean, and I have students who do this, it depends could mean I'm very busy this year. It's my junior year as a science major and I have a million labs on my plate, and the only thing I have time for is basketball band in the winter season. I have those students. It depends could be I'm in marching band, I'm in basketball band, I'm in wind ensemble, I'm in orchestra, I'm in jazz band, I'm in concert choir. And also I like to get together and play garage band on the weekends, maybe thinking about auditioning for one of the a cappella groups next year. That is a real story. That is an actual student. That is not an example that I made up. That is, his name's Hayden. He's a tuba player. He does everything. And the advice that I would really just give to students as they come in is to, it's okay to be cautious. It's okay to be selective in your first semester or even in your first year. And the beautiful thing is that, and I think everybody would probably agree to this, is that it is not too late to come to our program as a sophomore. It is not too late to come to our program as a junior. It is not too late to get involved. So don't be shy about easing in, but know that there is a lot of possibility and potential to be involved, not just in a wide variety of music ensembles, but across the way into art and other things. I've got one kid in the band who's an art major. Maybe Kristina can talk some about the art, kind of the visual arts involvement there.
Yeah, Christina, go ahead.
Okay, I'll take over. So yeah, I would like to state something that maybe you all know, but one of the things is that we as faculty members serve as academic advisors as well. So wearing that hat, I always recommend to my students, especially first-year freshmen, is that the balance is the key to success in life. So I think that it is very realistic that if we say, you know, it would be fine that you need to be in 4 full credit courses in your semester plus a quarter credit. Out of those 4 full units, it's very likely that you may end up in 2 studio courses, but I probably would say that's about right number. Studio courses are very intense. They take a lot of time. I would very much parallel them to science courses with the lab. So there's a lot of investment in working on the projects. And again, we you know, have this capability to offer this many of degrees because we have the facilities. Our program is really diverse and robust. So it does take that moment for a student to understand, oh, wow, this really requires a lot of investment on my part as well, which is a great thing. But also what's great about that is that it's not limiting. In fact, I really love that we are able to offer, for example, such specialized degree as BFA under the umbrella of liberal arts. I really think it's a win-win combination, especially, you know, looking at the world, the complexities. I mean, it is absolutely amazing to have that opportunity to do something kind of very, you know, very specialized, but you're constantly under the umbrella, under the scope of all other things as well. It simply feeds that special thing that you're trying to do. And I really cannot think of a better model than what we have, which is, as I say, being able to offer some of these unique opportunities, but we are the liberal arts school. So again, I would say that, you know, it's wonderful to work with the students. A lot of them, as we mentioned, are double majors. Again, balance is the key. You usually would end up, as I would say, taking 2 courses that are your primary interest and maybe 2 other that are coming from your distribution requirements, basically courses that you know you have to take that are coming from other disciplines. But that's where the real true fun and excitement comes. Even though I know you might be rolling your eyes and like, oh no, I don't want to take a class in math. But guess what? We nerds have a combined class called Generative Art. It's my colleague in photography that team teaches with a colleague in math. And we're looking at the web systems and webbing design and coding and so forth. And it's all about the patterns. So again, there's a lot of great things where, you know, you can do, as Mary Kate said, a lot, but you do need to think of a balance.
That's such great advice. Professor Sadler, did you have anything you wanted to add? I know you had your hand up at one point.
I think what I would add is pretty much has been said. I think it's such a good point that Professor Bogdanov brings up about balance, especially for students who perceive themselves as artists and wanting to major in an art in Ohio Wesleyan. And I think being an artist and identifying yourself in that way, I think presupposes a sense of curiosity in you about the world around you and like, ooh, that's interesting over there. Ooh, that's interesting over there. I want to make all of these connections, and that's wonderful. I think that's one of the things that our school does really well and specializes and encourages, is making all of these different connections. I think that has to be balanced, though, with a realistic perspective of not driving yourself nuts, right? Being realistic about what you can manage and handle over the course of 4 years at Ohio Wesleyan. So I think in answering this wonderful question, it's certainly possible to get involved in all of the arts at Ohio Wesleyan. It's absolutely possible. I think you want to, if you want to do that, but also bear in mind and try to think about how it's going to balance with the entirety of your curricular journey and your trajectory through your time at Ohio Wesleyan.
Perfect. Dr. Edwards, anything additional? Oh, You're on mute again. Dr. Edwards, you're on mute. There you go.
I clicked it.
You tried, it's all right.
No, you guys have done such a good job. You've hit all of my lines already, but I do want to really double down on the importance of balance. This is I think the perspective of balance is different depending on what your emphasis is at Ohio Wesleyan. If you're a non-major, you don't have a limit to the number of arts courses you can take, but you need to be careful. And I encourage my advisees, and I encourage all my students to talk to their advisor and their friends about what is a realistic thing for me to take on my plate and still, get all my studying done, still have a social life and do some clubs and, make this college experience an enriching experience, not an exhausting, burning out experience. And I often notice first-year students get a eyes are bigger than your stomach kind of mentality. I see it happen with non-majors as well as music majors because, wow, I can take the orchestra and the band and the choir and I can follow in Hayden's footsteps. It is very tempting, but, and some students can do it. And other students, I think you have to be true to yourself. You know how organized you are. You know what your goals and priorities are, or at least you're trying to figure out what your goals and priorities are. But I think it's important to think about your priorities and focus on making sure you're getting enough sleep and eating well and not sacrificing your personal health for the sake of your interests. So eventually these things get figured out. In my opinion, they get figured out faster when you communicate with your friends, with your fellow students, with fellow teachers, and especially with your advisors. So the more you talk about these questions with the other students and faculty and staff around you, I think the more you're going to be able to figure out what your appropriate balance is. I do want to also emphasize, though, that our ensembles are a balance of both majors and non-majors. In the music department, it's approximately 50-50 of both non and music majors. So that balance is alive and well there too.
Great point. So another question that came in ahead of time, and I think Professor Bogdanov might have the best possibility of answering this, but feel free, anybody to. The question relates to, do we have a graphic novel class or any class that combines the visual arts with creative writing?
I love that question. So we don't have a specific class on that, but what I would like to share is that, again, we have every semester figure drawing classes, which is basically an opportunity for a student to draw from the model, from life, motion, gesture, and then of course in-depth study. So that kind of experience would pair up very well with actual two courses that are offered. One is in English department, one is in the comparative literature, and they both tackle graphic novels. One is the graphic novel of the Middle East taught by Dr. Risen, and then another one is the graphic novel as a form of expression taught by our faculty, Amy Butcher. And so there are, Professor Amy Butcher teaches creative writing. And so I would say that, again, the beauty of liberal arts is exactly what Professor Sadler has said in the ability to connect the dots, in ability to partner and do something in one department by taking a course there, and then bringing that in another department by taking a course in that department. So basically students have that opportunity just as much as we as faculty have an opportunity to here and there team teach or have some collaborative projects. So we have had students do some of these projects. Again, it's not a specific class, but it would end up as an experience. So it's a very unique way of taking upon, taking this idea of maybe, I want to make a graphic novel. This is my thinking. You can absolutely do that. And in fact, we've had some students do some illustrations, designs for their own books, anything and everything from children books to some more, I would say, longer formats, like a real graphic novel project. So but again, they did it somehow through their own taking of different classes that fitted to their idea, what they needed, and what was the main, what kind of a graphic novel was in their mind and what they wanted to create. And then it basically culminated in an independent project, which they have then completed.
Great, thank you. I know that we have a combination of juniors and seniors in this webinar, and so some folks may know more about our signature program, the OWU Connection, than others do, but for those who aren't as familiar, the OWU Connection essentially guarantees that students can have either an internship experience, a research experience, and or a travel experience at some point before they graduate. And that our belief is that students who participate in one or more of those things are setting themselves up very nicely for what they do after OWU and for their career. So I wonder if each of you could talk a little bit about maybe one or two things that you have seen in your department that relate specifically to the OWU Connection, whether that's a travel learning course, a theory to practice grant, some other experience that that could help illustrate the opportunities available within it. So I don't know who wants to start with that. Dr. Edwards. You're on mute again. There you go.
I was just saying, hold on. Okay, yeah. We have a variety of signature OWU Connection experiences in the music department. For several years now, our chamber chorale has toured Italy. I think they've done that at least 3 or 4 times. And that's a wonderful celebration of music and culture and immersion in that one lovely country, and singing and learning about the music while they perform there as well. My music ed majors, particularly that I work with, have been involved in several of our community arts service and education projects, such as our music festivals for middle school and high school band students. We're also starting this year a new high school choral festival. Those are great opportunities not for prospective students to also get a feel for our campus and possibly get in an audition if you wanted to. But for the music ed majors that I work with, it's a great way for them to get hands-on experience on the administrative sides of things. Especially several students were able to propose and receive a grant so that they could participate in our camp as counselors last year, and they received room and board from wherever they were in the country to come back to our campus to help run the summer music camp last year. And then also we participate in our national as well as our state music education conference every year, doing presentations and other team building activities at those events, and we wouldn't be able to do that without the support of the OWU Connection.
Great. I think Professor Bogdanov, you had some insight?
Yes, I would like to add that we also have quite the number of the signature experiences related to the course connection. So one I would like to say is the New York Arts Program, which is an internship in New York that is for a full semester. And they range greatly from working for some of the studio artists or working at museums, galleries, working for art magazines and so forth. So this is not just specifically for fine art majors, although we usually have every semester someone going and taking this opportunity, but also for just everyone who studies art. And then we had couple courses, more than couple. We also had some travelings to Italy. Our professor in art history took her Renaissance course. We also had our professor in painting take students to Italy. Then we had photography of the West, where our professor in photography had a trip to the area of, New Mexico in specific, and studying some of the first examples of photographs of the West. And we also have a class that's art management and museum studies that also had some travel abroad component, but With that class, I would like to reference that is taught by our director of the Ross Museum. And again, Ross Museum is another venue, a great asset to our program that also provides some internship opportunities. The last thing I would like to add, back to the question of graphic novel, I also would like to share that to all the students, that we, for example, have a very unique class that I don't think any of our peer institutions have, and that is the class called Book Arts, where you're actually making a book, your own, learn about the book binding and so forth, and it's very exciting. So it's certainly a class where you could do and use your idea for a graphic novel.
Professor Sadler, any insight on connection-related experiences through the theater or dance department?
Yeah, absolutely. Jumping off of what Professor Bogdanov said, majors in the Department of Theater and Dance often go on the New York Arts program as well, and take part in specialized internships in the New York City area, whether they be in avenues of theater or in avenues of dance as well. That's one of the big course connection off-campus type of situations that our majors oftentimes find themselves in. Additionally, in my time teaching at Ohio Wesleyan, I've seen students go off campus to study in County Cork, Ireland, to study in Prague in the Czech Republic. So there's a wide variety of opportunities to go off campus. I know there's a travel learning course in the past that has gone to Stratford in England to see, you know, the reconstructed Globe Theater and to view where, you know, Shakespeare is from. And we as a department have traditionally for quite a while now traveled to the Stratford that's a little bit closer in Stratford, Ontario, Canada, to be a part of the Shakespeare Festival that happens there on a yearly basis. Probably won't happen in the fall this year, just because the festival has been suspended because of the pandemic, but that's something that has happened regularly. So yeah, there's a bunch of different opportunities to engage in course connection opportunities, travel learning courses, and various ways to extend studies beyond just the Ohio Wesleyan campus, absolutely.
I'm going to hop in. It looks like we might have lost Lori, but I'll say just a couple of maybe final thoughts on OWU connection experiences. I think what's cool too about this is that yes, the OWU connection is about big travel experiences, which the overwhelming majority of our students participate in before they graduate. It's about those internships and research opportunities. The staff grant that I was talking about, the internship in my program, is one of many such internship opportunities that fall under the umbrella of the OWU connection. But it's also about the little ways that faculty and staff connect with each other to create new possibilities. The idea of a student coming here and saying, I really want to collaborate with somebody in the art department and somebody in the English department to create a graphic novel. I can see every faculty member in both of those departments would be like, oh my gosh, let's look at this grant funding, or maybe we can tie it in with this, or maybe we can, it's just a part of the ethos and the attitude here. In my own little corner of the universe, I'm very excited now that we have, we last year saw our biggest incoming class of music majors in a really long time. And the majority of that class is participating in the marching band, and a not insignificant number of them are on my leadership team. I'm very excited about those students getting to arrange music for our marching band. I've got one student who's very interested in writing drill. She writes drill for her high school band now and really wants to write drill for one of our shows coming up. And as soon as we're allowed to be back on a football field doing drill, I'm very excited to give Katie that opportunity. That is not an opportunity you're going to get at a big school. There is no Division I marching band program where an undergraduate student is writing the drill to go on the halftime show on the field. And I'm someone who went to a small college, and OWU does the small college stuff the best. That it gets down to you as an individual student. It's about what you're interested in and what you're passionate about. And we're going to find travel experiences that speak to that. We're going to find research experiences that speak to that. We're going to connect you with real life internships, real life job opportunities, and networking that's going to get you to where you want to go as an individual student. Yeah, 2 thumbs up for the OWU connection. Good stuff.
Awesome. So I know we're right about out of time. I thought we might end, and if we didn't get to your questions, we'll be sure to answer those offline. But I thought we might end by asking each panelist to maybe cite 1 or 2 or 3 outcomes examples of students from your area. And I know I didn't ask you this ahead of time, so I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but you don't have to name specific names, but maybe like a couple of students who graduated recently, what they're doing now in the real world, in their real lives. So let's start with Professor Bogdanov.
Yes, great. So a graduate of 2020, Mia Smith, she graduates in ceramics. She will be, she has a full graduate assistantship offer from CCAD. So she'll be pursuing MFA in ceramics and I believe also drawing. Then Louise Good Posture, she's in her MFA studies. She's in her 2nd year at the University of Kentucky. Rachel Bush, she has her own photography business. Rachel graduated 2 years ago, I think, and she's been very, very successful. We have a couple majors in art history that are pursuing their doctorate in art history. So I'm going to stop here.
Great. Dr. Edwards?
Yeah, there's so many success stories to share. I guess I would summarize by saying that over 90% of the music ed majors I've worked with are now teaching music or have gone on to grad school or have kept music as a part of their professional life after graduation. And I keep in touch with my students a lot of different ways. One of the most compelling and touching ways to me is most recently, you know, since we're all staying at home now and we can't rehearse anymore, we decided to try a virtual wind ensemble project this semester. And originally it was just going to be for me and my students here at OWU, but the first phase kind of went well. So we said, hey, do any of you alumni, would you like to participate? We're going to take this to the phase 2. And I got an avalanche of alumni who are friends with me on Facebook that said, yeah, I'd like to do that. I'd like to. And we produced a video that was a combination of current students and alumni and community members and even some prospective students in our area who just wanted to make music, were hungry to do it. And I think it speaks to the power of music to connect us. And that to me is one of our biggest success stories, is that we're launching people right now, but they're staying in touch with us for years and years after too.
Mary Kate, I know you're just now graduating your first group of seniors, but any insight on what some of your graduates are doing?
You know, it's interesting because the story that came to my mind, because you're right, actually one of the seniors, I was not even going to get the opportunity to say goodbye to at graduation had we been there, because she moved to Canada very shortly after to start her first teaching job. But actually the alumni story that immediately comes to mind is that very shortly before all the lockdowns happened, a friend of mine who teaches in Maryland at another small university invited me out to guest conduct on her concert. And on that same concert, she was also inviting a composer out whose piece they were world premiering for that performance. I'm personally very passionate about equitable programming practices, about making sure that that music by women and music by people of color is getting equal attention and play, because there's so much good music out there. And my colleague that I went to this concert with is very much of the same mind. And so the composer that she had invited is a really fantastic wind band composer named Nicole Kino. And Nicole is somebody that I've grown close with in the last couple of years because finding incredible women in the field of music and in composition is always a treasure. But the thing that I love most about Nicole is the OWU connection that she and I have, because Nicole is an OWU alum. And She is outliving her, I mean, her absolute best life. She is a full-time composer. That is what she does. And it was not even necessarily the thing that she thought she would end up doing, but I know that there were a lot of people at Ohio Wesleyan that she continued to be in touch with and seek advice from. Dr. Edwards right here is one of those people that Nicole has been in conversation with about her career. And I think to me, it's a testament to the fact that there are people who are that are here, and you just heard from a couple of them, who are invested in you after you leave. They care that you go on to do what matters. They care that you get into that grad program you want to get into, or that you land that dream job. And it's special to get to be out in the world, and it happens all the time. Nicole is but one example of a time that I run into somebody that's like, oh yeah, I'm actually, WU alum. Our folks are everywhere doing all kinds of incredible things.
That's a great story. And last but certainly not least, Professor Sadler.
Right, yeah, we've similarly had some great outcomes from recent alumni. A student who graduated last year named Aries Harper is working with, and will continue to work with, a student who just graduated about a week ago now, I guess, Josh Martin, and another student who graduated a year ago, Michael Sutton, in creating their own theater company. They've already had bookings to tour some work that they've been doing to theatrical fringe festivals in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada, and Washington, D.C. We have, in the education realm, we have recent graduates such as Maeve Nash, who teaches theater at a high school in Virginia, Emily Spees, who graduated last year, who is the theater teacher at a school in Maryland right now, both doing exactly what they wanted to do and when they graduated. I think probably the most eye-catching success story we've had recently is a graduate named Ryan Haddad, who graduated 2 or 3 years ago now, I think. He worked with an internationally renowned solo performance artist named Tim Miller on individual works of theatrical performance. And he's been very, very successful touring them around in New York City and other areas as well. He has won numerous playwriting awards, and he also is a recurring guest star on the Netflix show, The Politician. Okay, so there's something for you students who are part of this webinar to look up for yourself. On Netflix, look up The Politician, and be looking for our alum Ryan Haddad on there. He's been wonderfully successful. He's a great combination of a huge amount of talent with also a huge amount of tenacity and desire to succeed. So something that Wesleyan really helps to cultivate, I would say. So look him up for yourself on Netflix while, everyone has lots of Netflix time right now.
That is the truth for sure. I think I've watched one too many Netflix series during this pandemic, but learning a lot, if nothing else. Well, I know we've gone over time, and I feel like we've really just scratched the surface on the arts. We probably could have made this webinar about 2 hours long, but what I hope that it did for our audience is sort of wet your whistle a little bit and leave you wanting some more. And we do hope that we'll be able to have folks on campus sooner than later to have you see our facilities and meet our people in person and learn more about the university. So thank you for joining us this evening. And just a reminder, if you are interested in getting more information about the arts, we've put the faculty members and Mary Kate's email addresses on that slide for a reason. So take a quick picture of it, I guess, before, or jot down the email address, and do feel free to reach out to them if you have any questions. But otherwise, enjoy your evening and the rest of this week, and we hope to be able to see you on campus very soon. Thanks, and have a great night.